Man, 1 month away. It has been a little bit too long. Blake O'Rulian, Zach Partridge for Fierce Challenger Series 12 Fight Week preview. Zach, there's nothing quite like a fight week, and cannot wait for this one. Back at Warehouse 22.
I'm really excited. We've cleaned a lot of things up. A lot of people seem to really like Warehouse 22 back in June, and there was just some things about it that I felt like we can make it better, and I think that we have. And so I'm really excited for an elevated atmosphere, even where people already liked it a lot. I think we've made it even better, and the card speaks for itself.
Man, two amateur titles, a professional bout atop it. But we kick things off in kickboxing. Kane Iman, the son of my dear friend, obviously your friend as well, Eric Iman, he's going to be making the walk versus Carson Newman, who we saw 18 months ago in Idaho Falls. He's back and on a mission to redeem himself.
So I want to be an MMA show. I'm not a huge proponent of kickboxing at our show. I think that you know what I really wish is that there would become like a kickboxing Muay Thai show that would start happening, regularly. But so I've kind of always been like, but Eric Iman asked at the June show, he said, "Hey, let's get Kane a kickboxing match here the next time you're here." And I was like, I love it. And as we were looking for people to match him up with, man, Carson Newman, I've been watching him train at the pit the past 18 months. He took that fight against Spencer Woodland on do you remember, like 6-7 days notice? Like
something like that. It was not a lot of time.
It was very, very short to make his amateur debut. And then he got an early stoppage, like fair but early, and it was kind of a bummer. And I've seen Carson just grinding for 18 months. And when I reached out to him, he's like, "I was wondering when you were going to call." I was like, "I was wondering when you were going to hit me up to fight again." Like, I didn't know when you were ready, but I've been watching him work, and, Kane's pretty much been raised and grown up in this environment. It's really funny. I haven't talked to Kane really a whole lot, but I feel like I know the kid because he's been a part of Eric's camps as long as I've known Eric. I'm pretty sure it was my first or second fight that Eric fought my teammate Ben Moe in the main event at Steel Fist. And so I've known Eric, as long as I've been in this game, and I feel like Kane's been, right there. And I think it's going to be a great fight between two big boys slugging it out, in some big gloves and stand and bang. And we'll see. I think we'll see somebody drop.
Ben Evans, Tyson Royer at 145 pounds. Tyson Royer, he has had quite the journey to get to this moment. This is his third opponent over the course of the last 6 weeks, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been guy after guy falling out. Legitimate reasons too, so it's just one of those things. We were on a hard guy to finding a guy to stick, and we finally got a guy to stick, and literally signed his contract. We got the poster made, broke his nose in practice that night, and it was like, man, who else? Man, Ben Evans has kind of been a guy he's wanted to fight anywhere. Took a short notice fight against Toa Meredith down at Crown. Real exciting. Started that fight out with a flying front kick, and kind of caught my attention after that. I'm like, yeah, I like that kid. And we had him at the UVU show, and I hit him up originally. He's like, "Man, I have work." And then he texts me like a day later, and he's like, "Hey, I got work off. Can I still take the fight?" I was like, "Yes." So we're finally going to see Tyson Royer from Logan. Excited to see him. I think he's going to be fun, and I love having guys like Ben and the energy they bring to the show.
Yeah, speaking about Ben Evans, third fight in 7 months he has been ever active over there at 145 pounds. All right, we move up to 205. Trace Thompson out of Agema, Nick Lavulo out of Absolute MMA. Nick Lavulo's first walk in 11 years, Zach. Also, not to mention, 18-year age gap between these two.
Yeah, Nick hit me up, and Nick and his brother, friend of Johan Rubio, Johan said, "Hey, I got a buddy. He's going to hit you up to fight. Take care of him." And he hit me up, and we were able to make something happen. Excited. Nick's been awesome to work with. He's just been training a long time. Used to train at my gym, one hit before I was even there. I think his debut fight, he fought a 5-0 guy for his debut fight.
Yeah.
It didn't go his way, but nobody else wanted to fight him. He's like, "I'll fight him." And he's just at a time where he's ready to fight again. Very, very interested. Good, experienced striker. A lot of Muay Thai background versus, Trace, who seems to be a heavy grappler, dedicated training guy. Drives all the way from Ogden down to to Provo to go to Agima to train there because he feels like that's the best fit for him. Very interesting fight, stylistical matchup. Very, very interesting.
We move to middleweight, just 20 pounds down. Brandon Bozeman, Quentin Henderson. The Henderson brothers have been on every single Fierce Challenger Series show dating back to June. So June, July, and now Quentin Henderson back for this one versus Brandon Bozeman. Brandon Bozeman.
We got to get one of them on the next week for Bear Lake, it looks like.
They're becoming the Brendan Myers duo kind of this situation.
Oh, don't take that from Brendan. Don't take that from Brendan.
I'll probably get a call from him at some point this week. but this one's going to be fun at 185 pounds versus your teammate, Brandon Bozeman.
Yeah. I mean, you watch both the Hendersons fight, and it's like I instantly become a fan. His first fight, Quentin's first fight with Micah Murdoch was so fun. Quentin Henderson put on a banger with Tyler Calldown and Price, and I'm super excited for it. And Brandon Bozeman, like you said, one of my teammates, very good, long striker himself. Quentin Henderson and him, I feel like just match up so well. Quentin, heavy hands, throws bombs. Brandon Bozeman, really good chin in the room. Like, he takes a shot incredibly well. So I'm really, really interested to see where that fight takes place. You know, I think we could have a really, really fun kickboxing match in that fight. Or, you know, they might get sick of punching each other in the face and get some grappling, where I know they both work on that as well. Very even 50-50 type fight. I'm very excited for it.
Haven't seen Brandon Bozeman up close, but for Quentin Henderson, that was an absolute dogfight between him and Micah Murdoch in June. So very, very entertaining one at 185 pounds. All right, we move down to strawweight for Mally Rahimian and Sam Odenkirk. Mally Rahimian back after about a year away. As for Sam Odenkirk, she's been putting in work over at the dojo for about 2 years now, Zach.
Very interesting how this fight came to pass. Sam Odenkirk was supposed to fight somebody else, pulled out. Same thing with Mally. Under contract to fight somebody else with a little more experience. Her opponent pulled out. Both of them, same thing. Not enough time to train, work schedule changes, things like that. It's amateur fighting. That stuff happens. Gave plenty of notice, and it was fine. So just kind of seemed like the match that needed to happen. Two girls, getting girls pulled out on. I think I'm just very fascinated and very interested to see, you know, these girls always come to scrap and throw down. And, you know, it's always interesting to see any debuter, what it's like the first time they make that walk, you know, rise to the occasion, or, you know, maybe you never know. And so you don't know how they're going to react till they're in there. Where Mally, you know, we've seen her have some tough moments, but also some tough moments for her, but also showing a lot of toughness in her fight with, you know, Mina Urshawati. She was really tough in game in that fight. Good fight with Grayson Johnson back in last September. So I'm excited for this fight. I think it'll be really fun. I think it'll be pretty entertaining.
How about Dante Morales versus Mateo Romero? Dante Morales, if you go on Tapology, he's ranked the number 2 flyweight in the state of Utah for amateurs right now. They really like activity, and they really like, you know, submission wins and finishes and stuff like that.
Time out. Tapology rankings aren't the end all be all. Let's just start with that there.
I do want to say, though, Dante
no
Morales.
Shade at Dante at all. I'm just saying that algorithm is very flawed.
Yeah, I will say, though, Dante Morales is rising the ranks, no doubt about it. On the other side is going to be Mateo Romero, another debuter out of Tooele Martial Arts Academy, a purple belt, and been training for the majority of his life up to this point.
Man, one thing I love about Tooele right now is their team is just so active everywhere and anywhere. Jiu-jitsu tournaments, Fierce, Steel Fist. You know, they travel to jiu-jitsu tournaments out of state. I mean, they're heavily represented everywhere. Keith Asbury, he has always just been one of the most dedicated coaches in the state of Utah. And he's been doing it for a long time. And they're just had such a small fight team that I don't feel like they always get the recognition that they deserve since, but when ZACK Cavender was really active and things like that, like they were winning a lot. And then their team kind of just got small, but it seemed like Derek Jorgensen kind of is bringing back a new wave of guys, and it's got, and they're getting rocking and rolling again. And it's so fun because Keith is such a good coach. They have such a good program there. And he told me, this Mateo guy, he said, he's a dog, man. Like he's a scrapper and he's a tough little kid. So I'm really excited. And to be able to see what Dante's been doing in the run he's on, and to throw an 0-0 kid against a guy like Dante with that experience, says a lot in their belief of what their belief in Mateo. Then again, like you said, Dante's been active this year. He's 2-0 this year. Very good grappler himself. Very likable kid. I think this very easily could turn into just one of those. It's like a little cartoon with just two guys just in that cloud storm. They're just scrambling and just grappling and going. I think this could be a sneaky good fight of the night contender right here.
Yeah, talking a little bit about Tooele Martial Arts Academy, 4-1 this year under the Fierce banner. They're one of the most dominant teams in the entire state. So cannot wait for them and see where the trend sets after this night. All right, Jimmy Prescott, Micah Murdoch. Obviously, we already talked about his dance partner, Quentin Henderson, in June for Micah Murdoch. Jimmy Prescott, a guy that you have seen in the room, his second fight this summer, but we were just talking about it before we turned on the cameras. He is someone that you cannot miss on this card.
They're both studs. Both studs. One thing I love about Micah Murdoch, and I'll start with this, he was one of the guys that wanted to fight Walker Pelto. He's raising his hand. I'll fight that guy. Like, I want to fight that guy. And not too many people want to fight Walker Pelto right now. And, he, depending on the way his fight goes September 7th and the way Walker's fight goes September 14th, he may very well get his wish. But just the fact that that's the fight he's asking for when not too many people are, really like that with him. Jimmy had such an impressive debut. Watching his transformation and his dedication and training, since he was since he signed up at One Hit, he's just kind of been a consistent guy. He's very quiet, kind of keeps to himself, but just works hard, man. And he's put in so much work. He came to us as a very solid grappler, big guy, but he's lost a lot of weight. And he works hard and he does some things very, very well. He's a great training partner in the room. He's a competitor. And with the type of dogfight that we saw Micah Murdoch and Quentin Henderson have, I think we very well could see something very similar here September 7th with those two.
This one is so interesting to me. Two veterans of the featherweight division here in the state of Utah, ZACK Hamilton, Derek Jorgensen. ZACK Hamilton, just a 3-month turnaround, his fastest turnaround since 2021. As for Derek Jorgensen, this is his third walk of 2024.
Yeah, I think this is going to be this is a very high level chess match type. These are two very experienced amateurs that have faced, the highs of highs and lows of lows. Usually amateurs, these are the type of guys that at this level where, they're knocking on the doors of title contentions. Zach's been in there in title fights. I think Derek is knocking on the door of starting to be in that conversation of a title fight with a win over somebody like ZACK Hamilton. It's such a good fight, and to me they're very similar. Like, they're almost kind of clones of each other. Very, very striking, a lot of 1-2s, very, very fundamentally sound guys, good grapplers. But like when I think of ZACK Hamilton and when I think of Derek, I think of guys that are just kind of grinders and that are just there to like grind you out. Like, if you look at Derek's performance back in June, what he did to Tate Martin, he kind of just grinded him out and just outwilled him. And I think Zach carries a lot of those same attributes. I think we're in for another dogfight.
Mason Moyes, Jake Mendenhall. Jake Mendenhall coming in from out of state. Mason Moyes, his first fight in about 3 years. I just spoke to him about a week ago, and he is laser focused on this return.
I was kind of surprised. Mason's won. I thought he was done. I thought he was done fighting. I actually used to teased him a lot that he wasn't really retired. Like, I kind of always felt like, because he's always in the room. He's always training, but he's just like, yeah, I'm done. But sometimes, that itch just comes back and you got to scratch it, man. And I know that myself all too well. I'm so excited to see Mason back in there. And what I loved about Mason is I threw him like a couple of guys and he's like, whoever says yes first, I'll fight him. Like, let's just go. And Jake Mendenhall, tough guy. Their camp, they're coming down from Nampa, Idaho area. They look at Mason as a challenge and a way for Jake and their team to come make some noise down here at Fierce and introduce their team down here at Fierce. And so I'm really excited. They're very confident in Jake, and I know Mason's, like you said, he's laser focused. He's locked in. He's looking very good in the room. Mason is one of the best big man athletes I've ever been around for how big he is, but how well he moves is really impressive. He's an athletic big man. I'm really excited for this fight, and I'm really excited to see Mason hopefully get going again.
One hit guys are all over this card, Zach.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for me. It's like for me. I feel like it's an honor to have my teammates on the show.
All right, we go all the way from heavyweight down to flyweight for an amateur title between Brendan Myers and Lance Regenball. Lance Regenball, a lot of people in the Fierce fandom might not know about him. He is a rising star out of Montana. On the other side is going to be Brendan Myers, who obviously has competed for a title in the past. Got a win a couple of months ago, which finds himself back in that title spot after Nasir Davis has now moved to pro.
Yeah, I mean this fight is a great fight. Striker versus grappler a little bit. I will say this: I've been very impressed with the growth in Brendan's striking that he's shown. But his bread and butter, his grappling is very, very good. Lance is a sniper. He is a good striker, and the longer the fight stays on the feet, I think the longer that it will be in his world and in his element, and for him to capitalize on. I think it's just going to be the typical matchup of where the fight takes place is who's going to end up ultimately having that strap put around their waist at the end of the fight. That
fight is incredible. This next fight might be one of the top fights of the entire year in terms of anticipation. Nate Reinhardt, David Kim. We go from Nasir Davis Jackson to Gray for the 135-pound strap to David Kim, Nate Reinhardt. I mean, you can't get much better than that at 135 pounds. And I also am just going to mention this. I don't think Nate Reinhardt is going to be missing by 20 pounds. I think David Kim gets to make the walk on Saturday.
Yeah, no kidding. Nate's a freaking professional like that. Right as you were teeing this up, I'm like, can you think of four better guys just back to back to fight for a title? I mean, do a round robin with those four. It's incredible. Nate, Nasir, Jackson, David. I mean, whatever. Like those are all. I mean, just two. I mean, Nasir Jackson. That was the greatest 5-round amateur fight I've ever watched. Not even close. Like it was awesome. And then to follow it up with this, it's like. I don't know. I'm so excited for this fight. Nate has just been kind of just chomping at the bit for a guy like David, a higher level guy like this. He's just not to say that his past opponents weren't good or whatever, but Nate kind of just beat him so convincingly that, I mean, Nate is on that level. Nate's been there to be in that title contention, and he's been there but Jackson DeGray was his teammate. And things that, he obviously had a setback in July, allowed for the Jackson Nasir fight to happen. But I mean, I think Nate and Nasir could have been pretty similar. Like Nate's a big body, and I think he has some attributes too that could have given Nasir some problems as well. And then we know what David Kim is. It's the guy. Since he came onto the scene, he's been one of the guys in Utah that it's like he'll go as far as he wants to go. And it's one of those things. Fighting is just a hard sport to raise a family on. He owns a business. He does other things. He has other interests in life. But it's always been like if David goes all in with MMA, like how high truly is his ceiling? And I'm so excited. I truly believe as amateurs, these are the two best bantamweights in the state of Utah.
11 incredible amateur fights precede this one, a professional lightweight bout between Ammon Garcia on a 7-fight unbeaten streak. Now, I know that does go away considering that he's now a pro, versus Abraham Ayala, Fierce Challenger Series 1 alum, also a very good friend and close training partner of Raul Rosas Jr.
So, yeah, I mean, Abe is he's tough as nails. I mean, and he's one of those guys too that when he's not training, he's got a construction job that he's just working with his hands and physical labor. Like he's just, and he's in the room with high level guys, and there is there's a confidence, right, that gets carried with that. We saw that with when guys come up from Vegas or from camps, MMA Gold. We've had other camps, big camps, come to Fierce. You can see there's a confidence that they train with those big names, and you have those bigger names in their corners and things like that, and that carries weight in their mentality and everything. But I mean, just truth be told, good luck matching Ammon Garcia's mentality. That dude is as violent of a guy. I mean, and I train with him, but if people knew, like, his hit list, he tells me all the time who he wants to fight, line these people up. And I'll let him, if he wants to say it on a mic publicly, he can say it. I'm not going to speak for him. But some of the names that's on his quote unquote hit list, it's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. He has that much self-belief, but I believe in him too. I think Ammon is a guy that he works so hard in the room, and he's gotten so good in such a short time period. Sky's the limit for him, Jackson DeGray, Nate Reinhardt dynamic. Cole Faust and Ammon Garcia, I think, are the two best lightweights in the state of Utah. I do. And I think everybody knows what Cole is. Ammon is very, very good, and he will blaze his own path in the 155-pound division. And I'm very, very excited to watch him make his pro debut, and excited that it's going to happen headlining the Challenger Series.
It has been too long. I absolutely cannot wait for this one. And then we're right back to this a week from now. We're going to be getting prepped and primed for another massive showdown at Bear Lake. But for right now, we've put all our focus on Fierce Challenger Series 12 live from Warehouse 22 on Saturday night. Zach, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to let people know before we close things out?
21 fights in 2 weeks. I think we're the first show in the state of Utah to do back-to-back weekends. And since Ultimate Combat Experience days, what we're doing right now, I'm just super proud of our team, and come out, support the fighters, support the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. 21 fights in 2 weekends. They're going to be awesome.
Cannot wait for it, Zach. Thank you so much.